Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us, Ray Benny Sports. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and we're also on Reddit. So join us on the conversation there. And don't forget, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast provider and leave us a rating.
We got Bomber talk, we got CFL talk, we got a bit of NHL talk, and we got hot topics. So let's get right into it. Bombers against the Ticats in the first Friday night football of the year. Wow, great first quarter without a doubt. Caleros, 3 touchdowns. Bombers defense didn't allow Levi Mitchell to get into it. Second half, different story, comedy of errors, but the Bombers came out with the win. Let's talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the ugly. You go first, Benny.
Well, and then the ugly to me is, like you say, the comeback a bit by Hamilton, right? The turnovers for me by the Bombers that allowed Hamilton to get back in this game. The block punt, Jamison Sheehan's second ever attempt. Jesse Briggs misses a tackle or a block punt, touchdown right away. Okay. And you're not too worried or concerned because that's Hamilton's first touchdown. But then the Caleros fumble, which we both texted each other and said, wow, weird play. Weird. It's a long developing play. It's like, okay, you're winning by a lot. Play it safe at this point. So, yeah. And then right after that, Janarian Graham fumbles on the kick return. And the way that ball popped up in the air was crazy. Like, I can't remember seeing something like that where it just popped straight up and into a Hamilton guy's hands. So
that's contact right on the ball.
TDs. Yeah. So
5 turnovers, 4 of them fumbles, 2 going for touchdowns. Obviously, there's a little bit of opening night jitters, but when guys like Dembski, Grant, and Caleros, who have been to many opening nights and have been in bigger games, I don't see this being a concern, but it's something that O'Shea will definitely address right away.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it'll put a stop to that. We saw Dembski kind of fighting for extra yards just to get that little bit extra and kind of carrying it like a loaf of bread, like you said on the text messages. So there's some things that they could definitely fix up. I don't know why I started off with the ugly. I started good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm like, let's start with the ugly.
Yeah. You caught me off guard a bit there.
I know, so weird. So let's go back and let's start with the good before we get to the bad. The good, well, there was so much good there. I'll start off on the defense with a shout out to Willie Jefferson and DeMario Houston. They are just aces on the defensive side of the ball. Jefferson constantly getting pressure, getting a sack, getting knockdowns, getting fumbles, and of course, DeMario Houston getting turnovers, fumbles, tiptoe interceptions. Those 2 on the defense were crazy. They're really good.
Yeah, and Willie Jefferson was amazing. Plus, then Jeffco got hurt, so you also had a couple rookies or newer guys in there who also did a great job on that D line. For me, I'm going to go the offensive side, and like we talked about, a guy like Dembski who fumbles on his first play of the game, but then he responded after that. 6 catches, 113, some beautiful catches, not beautiful. 1 TD, right? So looking good and all around. Caleros looking good, finding his guys, spreading the ball around to many different receivers. It wasn't just Dembski. Dalton Schoen had 5 catches, Wolotarski, and Bailey 3 and 4 each. So, and Brady Oliveira, and 22 carries, 115 yards. Like that. Yeah. Great night, and he had a big run late in that second half as well. Or was it the catch and run, or was it a run? It was a run, right? So great play all around for that offense. Without Kenny Lawler, it was looking pretty good.
Yeah, like Oliveira putting close to 170, a little over 170 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah,
5.3 yards per carry, which is amazing. Because when the running game started off, it was like 3, 4, 3. Yeah. It's like, oh goodness! But in the second half, they just started motoring it and physically imposing their will with the running game on them, like running it through the middle, not sweeps to the outside, through the gut, which is like one area of concerns I had with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers was the middle of that O-line. So it was really good to see them play well. So also a little bit of a shout out to the O-line, and the good, also the kicking game. 4 for 4 on field goals, 4 for 4 on converts, a field goal of 50 yards. That was good to see.
Yeah. Yeah, good kickoff too, compared to what was Seth there from Hamilton. 2 kickouts out of bounds that really helped the Bombers put some points on the board. And Castillo, I was surprised Castillo was doing it. I thought, Sheehan would have been doing that. I thought he was doing that in preseason. Maybe I'm thinking about the other guy, but yeah, Castillo answered the bell there too. But yeah, it's nice to see and have confidence that he's going to hit those field goals and those converts every time.
Absolutely.
I mean, not every time. He's going to obviously miss here and there, but you have the belief that he's going to hit every one of those, right? So
Yeah, yeah, and there's one where he needed to hit a long field goal to kind of slow down Hamilton. I think it was a 50-yarder. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yo, it's Castillo time" or something like that. And we're like, "Yo, this is why they paid him." And it's
Yeah.
absolutely, he hit that pressure kick when they needed to happen. The kicking game, I thought, was also part of the good. Any other good before we go to the bad?
I just want to touch on your O line, like the O line you talked about, because
Yeah.
we had probably leaned towards the Hamilton D line last week when we were talking about this, right? But the O line besides that fumble by Claros there, the O line, and I wouldn't blame really the O line on that one, anyways. But the O line as a whole kept Claros clean. Claros had time to find receivers, extend plays, and all that stuff. So exactly, props to them, and that was a very good effort by them, and good to see. Stanley Bryan looked freaking young out there.
Yeah, you almost swore you should have.
Yeah, I did.
We're gonna do some we're gonna give the teams some week 1 grades, and I'm gonna talk about Hamilton's O-line and how that star-studded O-line was held to 1 sack and not much pressure on
D line, not O line, right?
D-line, sorry. Like we named them one by one last week, I think it was, and how impressive they can be or should be, and 1 sack, not much pressure. So yeah, Winnipeg O-line looked tremendous. Let's talk about the bad. Not much bad. I'm going to be nitpicky here. I'm going to say the red zone. They went 3 for 6. 2 of those should have been touchdowns. The one from the one with Pigram, they got to put those in. They have to put those in. So I'm going to say the red zone offense. They're still good. They put 3 of them in, but they could have really buried Hamilton and took away all their heart if they would have buried a couple more.
Yeah, that's something Prukop didn't miss many of last year at all, really, right? Those short yardages, plunges from the one, especially when you got 2 attempts, right?
Automatic.
Usually he was automatic. The bad for me just really is Jackson Jeffcoat getting hurt again. It's luckily there's the other 2 guys that filled in very nicely for him, but if this is going to be a long-term injury or linger all season, they may have to look at Sean Levin and see if they can bring him in somehow if Jeffcoat is going to be out longer than this. I like how the 2 younger guys played, but over a course of a season, it might be harder and harder for them over that course of the season to get, do damage like Jeffcoat can, right? So
I agree. Yeah. That's a tough loss. Also on the bad, but not horribly bad, the return game didn't look too sharp. I'm gonna, for now, pin that on to Janarian Grant not taking any preseason snaps, not being too busy in the preseason, being on the suspended list. Those aren't air quotes, but they didn't look too impressive, the punt or the kickoffs. They didn't look bad, but they didn't look dangerous like they did at the end of last year.
And on the other side of it, Hamilton's return game looked dangerous. Like Lawrence Woods, the Bombers struggled, especially on kickoffs, to stop the guy. He had 25.7 yards per return. That's amazing. So the funny thing is Hamilton could not take advantage of this really, but he was setting up Hamilton in some very good field position early on in that game, and Hamilton just couldn't cash in.
Yeah, a couple of times they started drives from their own 40, 50-yard line.
Yeah.
Close to center field. Bomber fans, put in your reactions from the week 1 action. Don't forget week 2 against the rival Saskatchewan Roughriders. We'll be here on Thursday for CFL week 2 preview. So join us for that as well. Let's go with these grades that we're giving to each CFL team after week 1. We're going to go from west to east. Sorry, my screen is reversed. From west to east, starting with BC. What kind of grade do you give BC and why?
I'm going to give them an A. As going back and forth between a B plus and an A, but to be an A, Vernon Adams looked good. Some great numbers, 2 TDs out there, over 270 yards. The running game looked good. That Taquan Mizell, who's a rookie, came out in week 1 and maybe showed that he can play in this league. We'll see how it goes over the course of the season, but 81 yards there. And Dominic Rhymes looking good, picking up where he left off last year. And the D, to me. Yeah. They held, Calgary's offense, I don't know what's going on there, so we'll see. But they held that offense to 235 yards. So
yeah, what a workhorse Dominic Rhymes will be all year. Yeah. He's going to be.
Is Lucky Whitehead? He's still there, isn't he? Or is he still hurt?
Oh yeah.
Was he out? Did he play?
Didn't he play? I'm pretty sure he played.
I'll have to check.
Dominic Rhymes is definitely going to be their workhorse receiver. Oh. I'm going to give BC a B. They look good, but I think it's against a kind of weak step squad. Vernon Adams started hot, with a couple of drives. I think he went 9 for 9 in his first drive, and then he had a 100-yard drive in the second one. Both times Rhymes got the touchdown, but then they kind of slowed down. We saw a little bit of old Vernon Adams come in. He threw a pick, an ill-advised pick into coverage. And then BC didn't score a touchdown until the fourth, which should be an area of concern. I know it's week 1, but this is stuff we've seen out of Vernon Adams. The not necessary stuff, throw it out of bounds, run it, take a couple yards, and he doesn't. He forces something in there against a squad that should have been out of the game much earlier in the game. So I'll give them a B. Their defense is good, but I'd like to see them play against a good offense because I don't think the Stampeders have a very good offense at all. The O-line look horrible, but we'll talk about the Stamps in a bit. And next week, LL Cool J is going to be there. We have a bet going on over under 5 minutes before the dude takes off his shirt. Over under fans, put it in the comments. Benny, what do you have?
On that, I think I took the under on that. But at the same time, I question if he still got the abs like he used to. So if he doesn't, he might not be taking that thing off. So
and those chameleonaires have ways to get those abs back. Well, 50 Cent didn't find them for Super Bowl, but it doesn't matter. Let's talk about Calgary. Next grade there. I'm going to give them a D. Number one, they get a D for that 18,000, under 18,000 in attendance. That's horrible. The ownership group should be ashamed in the Calgary market to not get at least 20 or 25,000 at that game. That's horrible. And also Jake Meyer is not it. I'm not sold. Good luck, Dave Dickinson, first year's GM coach. Didn't look good. You get a D. Week 1, D.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. And then that's the thing about week 1 is you really don't know what kind of team is going to show up for the rest of the season, or if some of these wins that teams got, if they're against worse teams than them, and they're actually pretty bad too. But yeah, Calgary to me, D. Jake Meyer, man, he did not look good. He looked terrible. And then it's only 7 carries for Kadeem Carey.
That's crazy.
What is that? So, and then the D, it wasn't great. It had moments, but it also did not generate any pass rush at all.
Yeah.
Maybe they need Sean Lemon as well, but yeah, wasn't good for Calgary. It was weird because it's not something we're used to seeing out of Calgary, especially poor quarterback play.
Stampeder fans have been holding on to Jake Meyer being the next one since he played the Bombers a couple years ago and he went for over 300 yards. They still lost the game, but he kept them in it, and they've been holding on to that Jake Meyer, and he's not it. And they have no one behind him. A combined 9 CFL snaps. 9. So they are in trouble. Do you think the Battle of Alberta can end up being the battle for last place in the West?
It could end up if Jake doesn't get it going here at all. But yeah, it could definitely be that.
Ooh, Dave Dickinson's taking a load this year. Let's talk about the Edmonton Elks. What did you give them as a grade?
I gave them a D as well. I probably could have even gone lower, but man, Taylor Cornelius to me is not progressing. I think you almost got to see what Ford can do at this point and just throw him in there. Besides that long TD to Geno Lewis, which Geno Lewis did most of the work on that thing. He had to come back to get it and moss the guy. But yeah, Taylor Cornelius is not the answer.
No.
And that home losing streak continues, man. Jeez.
How embarrassing is that? Over 1,300 days. Did you give Calgary their grade?
Yeah. I agreed with you on that one, a D. Yeah.
Right on. I'm going to give Edmonton a D minus. I should give them more because they got 32,000 out to Commonwealth. Props to them. That's great. But when your quarterback gets half of his passing yards on that one touchdown, that's not good. No O-line. So he's screwed there too. Come on. I do think that their chances to break the home streak increased to happen earlier because Calgary looked so bad. They might win that Labor Day rematch, but man, they look horrible.
Yeah, they couldn't even cash in on the 1 yard line late in that game to take the lead. And then they let Saskatchewan basically run all over them to kill the clock.
Come on. Are you serious? Chris Jones, I don't think he's it.
No.
That was a mistake.
Yeah. The D wasn't horrible, but again, that questions, is Saskatchewan even that good, right? These two teams played each other. We don't know if either of them are good or if just Saskatchewan is slightly better than Edmonton and they're both bad, right? We'll find out.
Let's talk about Saskatchewan then. Saskatchewan, what do you give a grade?
I'm going to give them a B. They got the win, they got the effort in there. But again, like I'm saying, I don't know what they are yet, right? I don't know if Edmonton's really that bad. We'll find out Friday when they play the Bombers. Trevor Harris was okay. I could probably even go lower in the grade with that because Harris wasn't great. 1 TD, 2 interceptions.
No.
And then Dickinson threw him out there, or he was out there, but taking that late hit at the end of the game, which is he going to play Friday even now after that? So, but the D looked good. But again, Cornelius. So,
yeah, I'm going to give Saskatchewan a C plus. Trevor Harris didn't look good at all. And their defense only looked good because it was Edmonton. Harris threw for less yards than Cornelius and was less efficient.
And 20 completions, though. It's like he was under 200 yards.
Like they would have lost. They would have been the first team to lose in Commonwealth in 1,300 days if they could have punched it in from the one.
Yeah.
Saskatchewan is not good. Sorry. This week. It can change.
It's week 1, right?
Absolutely.
Anything can happen over the course of the season or next week. Teams get it together. But
yeah,
in week 1, a lot of teams did not really look good.
Let's give Winnipeg a grade. We kind of already did give them a grade by talking about them lots, and already fans are saying that we're a little bit biased, but hey, what can you do? They're the number 1 team in the league. I'm going to give them an A-, solid victory. Looked like a veteran team picking up from where they left off. Like I said, return game looked a little flat. That's going to be fixed. Running game looked good. I'll give him an A-.
Yeah, I'll give him an A. Again, offense looked really good. D looked pretty dominant. Special teams, need some work. But you know what? We got Mike O'Shea there, so special teams guru basically. So I expect that to be better. So, but an A for their effort in this week.
Absolutely. I give Toronto an A+ because they're the best team in the East for doing nothing. That's crazy. Did you get Toronto grade?
I didn't, but I can't argue with it, I guess.
I actually have a not applicable, but still, they get an A+ for being pretty much the best team in the East for doing nothing. Hamilton, I'll give them a C-. Props to Ticats for creating turnovers and keeping themselves in the game. But Bo Levi, you can get in the rhythm, and that defensive line that we talked about. They should be getting more pressure, and their secondary is dependent on that, and they couldn't. So they get a C- this week.
I'm going to give them a D. I know they had a lot of new players in this lineup. Half their team, I think their starting lineup was new, but they got dominant on both sides of the ball. Yeah. Their D-line couldn't get to the O-line, and their O-line struggled to contain the Bombers. That they even benched a player, and I think that's even Joel Figueroa there, who their big free agent signing, ended up getting beat by the rookie from the Bombers there. So not a good effort on there, and then just 239 total yards. Bo Levi, he had the opportunity. The long ball was open. They had guys open, and he was just missing. So
big time. It was horrible. Like, so obviously, as Bomber fan, you don't mind to see him missing.
No.
He had those opportunities. Ottawa. What do you give Ottawa?
I'm going to give him a D as well. I think that's it for Nick Arbuckle. I don't need to see any more about Nick Arbuckle at this point, man. 3 interceptions, only 220 total yards of offense. It's not good. Mazzoli needs to be back. Otherwise, they got to check out what the backup there can do in Ottawa. But the D, 6 sacks for the D.
Absolutely. Like Mazzoli has to be it, or else they are done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you obviously don't want to rush a guy. It's a long season. You want to make sure he's healthy and good to go. And their defense is good. Like you said, 6 sacks. That's crazy. Like, Fajardo must have been like, did the O-line follow Jason Moss with me? It's crazy.
It's starting to get to the point where you got to wonder if it's Jason Moss there, right? And his offense is not good for anybody.
Jeez. 4 field goals. That's not good, Ottawa. You got to get a touchdown in the CFL.
No.
You got to get a touchdown. Montreal, I give them a C. They won the game by a touchdown, but they couldn't protect Fajardo. I don't know what's lacking. Fajardo style of play. Is it Moss? Is it the lack of the O-line? We'll see what goes on, but props to them for getting 20,000 out to Montreal, 20,000 plus. I would have showed up for Our Lady Peace anyway, so that's good stuff. But yeah, they get a C.
I agree. I give them a C as well. Drives. C as well. They got the job done, but yeah, they get that O-line or Fajardo or Jason Moss have to get better. You can't be giving up 6 sacks a game because at that point, Fajardo is going to turn into what he was last year, and he'll never develop anything this year. So.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's disappointing. I was reading a Montreal Gazette article, and Fajardo said that's what a week 1 offense would look like and should look like. Like, the expectation to look that bad and being cool with that's not a leader. I think that says a lot about Fajardo. I don't think people might not pick up on that, but I think that says a lot about your leader when their expectation is mediocrity and they're okay with it.
No, that's not good. I think he's still probably shell shocked from last year or something. But yeah, that's not a great comment at all, man.
That's
You want to come on and say, hey, you're going to work on it. I know the Bombers, they brought everyone back from last year. It's pretty much the same offense. So,
yeah.
they clicked a lot better than most of these other offenses this year, right? But BC with Vernon, I guess BC, Vernon Adams, they kind of look good in the first half, like you said, and then taper off. But yeah, you got to build off this, not say, hey, that was good enough kind of thing.
BC said they didn't look good at all.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Look for what's wrong and go. Don't be. So then CFL week 1, is it more a situation of bad QBing or bad coaching?
You know what I'm going to say right now? The QBing was not good, man. I mean, high expectations for Trevor Harris, and we'll find out. Maybe Edmonton D is good. We'll see. But high expectations for him coming off. A lot of people are talking about him leading the league in passing yards and then not even to break 200. But we saw this last year with him in Montreal. There was a lot of short passes that turned into big runs or whatever. And this looked like, again, he's looking for the short stuff and then hoping for the the yards after the catch. So, and then what quarterbacks play good? Carlos, Vernon Adams, a good half, a little bit more. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So, and Vernon, that's it.
Who are the vaunted offensive coordinators in the CFL?
You got Buck Pierce, Jason Moss. I guess is he calling plays in Montreal, but not very good lately.
He's definitely not a vaunted offensive.
Kari Jones in Ottawa. He didn't have a good
anyone.
Week.
No. There's some bad coaching going on as well in the CFL.
It'll be a learning curve. We'll see how it goes. Again, week 1, right? Not to overreact or anything like that this early in the season. So
yeah, we'll see. Let's talk a little bit Winnipeg Jets and NHL. There's an article in the Hockey Writers about Dubois and DeBrincat possibly being a good trade. Ottawa, Winnipeg, response to that?
I'm going to say no. As much as I would like DeBrincat if he was going to sign here and all that stuff, but I don't think I would trade him straight up for Dubois. Not that the value is not there, but I think you need another center coming back somehow for Dubois. And maybe a younger guy that has more restricted free agency years ahead of him. DeBrincat's 5'8". He's another winger, another left winger with the Jets hat. So has the talent to put up the goals, but I think you got to find something else.
I'm going to say yes. I'd like to see this trade, even if it's 1-for-1, especially because it's not sending Dubois to Montreal to where he wants to be. He's across the Laval, and he can walk to Montreal if he wants to hang out there. But send him to Ottawa. That's great. I like a tenacious guy like DeBrincat. I think we need more attitude like that on the Jets. We're such a flat team, and when we're physically dominated, there's never a spark other than when it's Lowry. I think we need more players like that. So I would totally do that, especially if he could return to form as a 40-goal scorer. For sure.
But is he going to sign long term? And he's only got 1 more year of RFA status, so then he could end up being gone too. That's why I'm thinking. You go a little bit younger. Say a guy. Apparently, LA's going to go hard for Dubois. Who knows if that's true? But if you got a guy like Byfield, right, Quinton Byfield, he's still got a few more years of RFA. You kind of get time to sell him on Winnipeg. Sure. that kind of thing. Whereas DeBrincat might be. He says he's waiting for Ottawa ownership to get settled. Is that his excuse? Is that real, or is that an excuse just because he wants to get out of there?
Oh, it's got to be real.
So
that's got to be real. If you don't know,
you can use it for sure, but it doesn't mean that it's real. That's his only reason for not wanting to stay there.
If you're in a franchise in $1 billion industry, you're not worried about who your owner is going to be.
At this
why
point,
would you commit to a team like that?
If someone's going to pay you $8 to $10 million, does it really matter who the owner is at that point?
Absolutely.
They've already been building something in Ottawa.
We've seen how toxic ownership can just ruin something. Like, of course it matters.
We'll see. If they get a good owner, then in the next little bit, he doesn't end up signing, then that wasn't the only reason why he wasn't going to sign there.
I'm not saying it's the only reason, but it's an absolutely valid reason to say that.
It is a valid reason.
For the ownership to settle.
It's a valid reason for sure, but is it as an excuse right now, or is it actual real for in this situation for me?
I think it's a valid reason. I think it's absolutely a valid reason. He's coming into the prime of his career. He should be concerned about who the owner is going to be. At least I think it's valid. Not the only, but I think it's valid.
All right.
Hellebuyck won't sign long term. Not a surprise on this end here.
Not a surprise, but to me, I want to. I know we're never going to get it, but I want the answers of why all these guys want out. Is it just because they don't think the Jets are going to win anytime soon? Is it because they don't want to go through rebuild, or is it that locker room, or the ownership, or the GM? Like, what exactly is it that so many guys want out right now from Winnipeg? I get. I don't even blame Hellebuyck because you want to win. You want to be the main focus. You want some help in front of you, and maybe with a good team in front of him, he can end up winning. Right? With the Jets, he's just kind of maybe spinning his wheels. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, as long as they can get high value for these guys, and still field a competitive team at that point, go for it. But I don't know.
Like I don't know whose shoulders it falls on the most. So my ignorant ass is going to put it on Chevy. I'm not an insider. I'm not an analyst. I don't know who's talking to who. But totally, if we're going to go from what we know of Chevy and the culture he comes from, he's old school. He probably doesn't consult with players. He doesn't probably talk to players face to face about the future of the team. He's the head man, really, if we're going to be honest with you, not Chipman. Come on now, let's be real about that. If Chipman was really running the show, he'd probably get rid of this guy already. But at this point, how many years now are we in and nothing to show for it?
Yeah, but Chipman's had the option, or he has it there to get rid of the guy. He keeps resigning him. Who else would be resigning Chevy to deals all the time?
It's Chipman. But I think that's because he totally trusts him and he believes that there's something there.
What's there?
He has his ear. The GM has his ear.
Or the other way around, the owner has the GM's ear, and that's why he keeps bringing him back.
Well, if the owner had the GM's ear, then that means he's in control, and he would have let him go.
Well, he is in control, but why would he's not letting the GM go? He could have fired him and not re-signed him at some point.
Because I think Chevy's absolutely manipulating this guy. He's the first guy that he hired, and he's totally playing Chipman on that because he does not have the record to play on. That's for sure.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I feel it's the other way around, where Chevy is playing Chipman's game and doing what Chipman wants, and that's why he's keeping him around.
No, I think Chevy's playing Chipman for
you've won what? Two series in 11 years.
Chevy's taking a rookie NHL owner for a ride.
I don't know about that, but
absolutely, he's taking him for a ride.
Either way, it's not good, and it's not a good situation if that's even happening for this team. And you're not going to want guys that can sign you long term.
Exactly. So it doesn't really. Oh my goodness. Can Florida rally?
I think they're done. Just part of that reason is Tkachuk. He was a big part of there. He seems to be hurting. Something's up with him. He's not the same kind of player.
Yep.
So yeah, I think the magical run of the Panthers is going to run out probably tomorrow night.
Of course they can rally. They rallied against the best regular season team that we've seen in a long ass time, but I don't think they will. Vegas plays a similar style to them physically. And I think it's just wearing on Florida, especially with Tkachuk injured and Goudras. What's his issue? He's everything hurt on his upper body. It's crazy.
He must be. The way that guy plays physically, man. Yeah, he must be hurting everywhere.
The hit that he took?
Yeah, that didn't help either. So.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to happen. The Knights got this one. I'll cheer for Pomo to the end, but sorry, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. The last few rounds of these NHL playoffs haven't been very spectacular at all, kind of thing.
No, not really. Let's move on to hot topics. Messi signs with MLS. Big deal?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, to me, I like it for the MLS. I know Messi's on the downside of his career, but we've seen in the World Cup and even though this past season what he can still do. So I think he'll bring something to the MLS and put them a little bit more on the map.
Yeah, I think it's kind of meh. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still don't think international watchers of football will flock to MLS to watch him. They'll watch highlights. I don't think they'll watch games. I think it's great for the MLS within North America, within America. He'll draw houses without a doubt. He'll probably sell out a lot of home games in Miami. Miami's a hotspot anyways, but do I think it'll be a long-term gain or anything like that? No.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Internationally, the MLS is nothing to these guys. Yeah. But we will sell out places in the States and, bring it maybe bigger in there, the kind of thing, like bringing the soccer world bigger for now, like Beckham did when he first showed up in the MLS, right? Kind of thing. So
yeah,
it'll bring some newer fans.
One season.
Yeah. International, everyone will always probably think of American soccer as a joke anyways, right? Just like they would of Canada soccer. So
without a doubt. Well, club soccer. Well, yeah, for sure. Canadian
club soccer,
because it's only been there for a few years. Best landing spot for Dalvin Cook?
I'm going to go Miami. I think he would fit well in that offense. You add another guy who's dynamic along with Hill and Waddle, but I don't think it's going to end up happening just because of the money wise, and I think Dalvin Cook still wants a big chunk of change.
So if we're not going to go money wise, the best place for him to go is the Chiefs. If they can fit him in cap wise, go to Andy Reid. He hasn't had a workhorse back since what? Who? Shady in Philadelphia.
I guess a bit, yeah.
And he'll use him.
Yeah,
that was his last one, Shady in Philadelphia, because he kept rotating through them in KC pretty much. So I think that'd be great. It would be open for him. You have to worry too much about the tight ends, and they have the great O-line, and they have Pat Mahomes. So the best team for him to go is the Chiefs, if they can fit in the money wise.
Still wants that money, man. Still wants that money.
Well, then he ain't going to Miami.
No.
The state of Connecticut has a group to buy the Coyotes. Is Hartford a good landing spot?
Heck yeah. Just so that logo's back in the NHL. But realistically, probably not. There's probably a lot more bigger markets that NHL want to focus on that they'll go to first before Hartford. Plus, it'll mess up Bettman's realignment if they went to Hartford. So
it's not a good landing spot?
No. I mean, as much as I'd like to see it back there, I don't think it'd be a good landing spot for the NHL and what they want, kind of thing.
Yeah.
For me, I'd say give her. Go there, go back to Hartford or Quebec too, kind of thing. So
they want a constant American market, and after seeing Seattle, and if they can gain that, I think it doesn't matter where it is anymore in this.
They want big markets, though. They're going to hit those big markets. I mean, the rumor that even Atlanta could get another team is crazy, man.
That's cool. Hartford should get a team, but I don't think they should take a relocation team. I think Hartford's a prime, expansion team. Because if you get a relocation team, it's going to be a horrible team. They're going to suck for a long time, and that's not a way to grow that market again. They got to go for an expansion team where they have at least a chance to win right away, really get that market hockey wild again, and for long-term success, I think. So not a good spot for the Coyotes.
But you got a Brickhead? You don't think the market would still be there anyways? Like, I mean, these guys have been waiting for hockey to come back. So it'd be like the Jets, right? That market will be there. And if hopefully they can get a winning team in 4 to 5 years, it should stay, right? But
I don't think a fraction of the passion that the Jets have in Winnipeg exists in Hartford. So no, I don't
People
think
from
so.
Hartford, let us know for sure.
For sure.
And in Connecticut area kind of thing, right?
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that their passion for a hockey team is close to Winnipeg's. And of course, yes, I'm a homer, but I think that's pretty consistent. A small market, passionate prairie city in Canada. I don't think Hartford would even compare passion-wise. So
do they get their logo back?
I'd hope so, if they get the name back. If they get the name back.
I know it all went to Carolina because they've been wearing the logo.
Oh,
they've been wearing the logo. So
you got a Brickhead?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if it's totally a Brickhead or not here, but I'm going to give it to the CFL. And not having their stats ready to go on week 1, live stats, nothing there. You can't look it up, see how guys doing, see what's going on in the play. So I'm going to reluctantly give it to the CFL. They're my Brickhead of the week.
Stat issues. Shoutouts in dramatic fashion, in the rain, on the 4th playoff hole. Nick Taylor hits a 72-foot eagle putt to become the first Canadian to win the Canadian Open since Pat Fletcher in 1954 in Vancouver's Point Grey and Country Club. So congrats to Nick Taylor, and huge shout out to the 2023 Canadian Open champion. That was crazy.
That was quite the putt. Wow.
Holy, for eagle.
Yeah. I didn't even realize at first it was an eagle. I just thought, hey, either you got par or whatever, birdied it, but it's like, wow, holy, for an eagle, man, that's huge.
Top 10 event in Canadian sports history?
It'd be up there. I'd have to figure it out and see what else is there, but yeah, it'd be pretty damn close.
Yeah, like I definitely put it in top 10. We got Olympics in Vancouver. We got the 72 series, Toronto Raptors, Blue Jays. It's got to be there.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a major, it's a big tournament, and a Canadian winning it in Canada doesn't happen often.
That's crazy. Canadian event and Canadians don't win it. Sounds like the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah. Canadian Cup. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget, subscribe, follow, and have a good week.
And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. I almost finished this.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Denny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.